Hi, everybody. Joe Cioffi here. Weather in 5 days in 5 minutes. And coming up tonight on the Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast, we are, of course, going to have the outlook for the Northeast and Mid Atlantic states for the weekend and into early next week, which features warming trend and not much rain. However, we will be seeing widespread severe weather and elevated tornado risk over the nation's midsection for the next 4 days. And we'll be getting into that and maybe a little bit more in the long range. That's all tonight on the Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast. And that is at 7:35 p.m. Eastern Time. So this morning, we don't really have too much going on as far as watches and warnings are concerned. Some leftover frost and warnings, freeze warnings and frost advisories. Although for areas in eastern Pennsylvania to southern New England, many areas saw their temperatures actually stay above 32 during the overnight. Even inland areas that were supposed to get down in the 20s didn't make it. And we talked about the fact last night that there was some wind and also some cloud cover, and that actually provided a little bit of a blanket for the atmosphere to prevent any kind of widespread frost or freeze. At the moment, we don't see much going on. This is as of 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time as far as watches and warnings are concerned, like flood watches, flood warnings, severe weather warnings, and so on. But we're going to see this change later this afternoon and tonight in the plain states. And we're beginning to see on the satellite loop, you can see lightning strikes going on in parts of Kansas and Nebraska and moving into Missouri and Arkansas. Tropical moisture is coming out of the Pacific as the atmosphere is priming up for the first of two storm systems that will be bringing heavy rains and severe weather for the middle of the country. And we'll get more specific on that in a moment. Meanwhile, in the Northeast, you can see the clouds this morning that are over parts of New Jersey and Long Island and back through Pennsylvania and Northern Virginia. Those will disappear before too long, and it'll be another day where from Maine down to Florida and west into the Gulf states and into much of the Ohio and Tennessee Valley and Great Lakes, we're looking at a nice day with sunshine and temperatures on the chilly side in the Northeast and Northern Mid-Atlantic, but they're going to start to rebound as we go into the weekend. Rain and some thunderstorms have broken out from Arkansas northwestward up into Nebraska. As we said, this is the start of things, the first of two storm systems forming in the Great Plains. The energy for the second one is moving now into the Pacific Northwest, where we have some rain coming in from off the Pacific into Washington and Oregon. Radars in the east from Maine to Florida, back to the Great Lakes, Ohio Valley, and the Deep South, not showing a thing, nor will they be showing much as we go through the rest of today and tonight. So, this is WPC's rainfall forecast over the next 7 days. And you'll notice that in the east, not much. You have to go up into northernmost New England and western New York, where you see some pockets of a quarter to a half an inch. As you head down the up and down the coastal plain, we're looking at a tenth of an inch or less. And from southeast Virginia down to Florida, no rain being forecast for the next 7 days. Contrast that to what's going on in the plains and up and down the Mississippi River Valley to the western Great Lakes. We have this large area of 2 to 5 inches of rain and an area of 5 to 7 inch rainfall being forecast across much of central and eastern Oklahoma, northeastward into southeastern Kansas and southwestern Missouri. And this is also going to be the area where we're going to have elevated tornado risk and severe thunderstorm risk. Heavy rains also in the Pacific Northwest over the next 7 days of several inches or more there, and some widespread precip up and down the central and northern Rockies. As far as severe weather is concerned, we do have a lot to show you here. This is the forecast for today. We've got an enhanced risk of severe weather in parts of West Texas and western Oklahoma into Kansas, a larger area of slight risk that extends up into Nebraska. This comes with a 2 to 5% tornado risk and an area of 10% tornado risk. That hatched area you see there means that we have elevated risk for potentially EF2 to EF5 tornadoes. So that'll be something certainly that the folks in that part of the country are going to be paying attention to. Then, as we move to tomorrow, the risk area shifts eastward to eastern Nebraska, Iowa, Missouri, eastern Kansas, eastern Oklahoma, western Arkansas, and northeast Texas. Enhanced risk in the north parts of northwest Missouri, southwestern Iowa, eastern Nebraska, northeast Kansas. And again, this is going to come with an area of potentially 10% or higher tornado risk and the risk that there could be some EF2 to EF5 tornadoes. So that is again from Friday into Saturday. Then we'll go to Saturday into Sunday, and we have another big area of severe weather risk and enhanced risk. The enhanced risk will probably reflect another area of 10% risk for tornadoes. The slight risk going from South Texas, interior South Texas, north and northeastward through the middle and upper Mississippi Valley and into the Great Lakes. So, and there's by the way, a fourth day of severe weather risk in roughly the same place in the SPC long range. And this is going to be for Sunday into Monday. It's pretty unusual to see back to back storm systems like this to create uh, the very long duration risk of severe weather and tornadoes. Meanwhile, here in the east, with all the storminess out in the west, we've got a high overhead in eastern Canada that settles off the coast on Friday. So while it will be chilly today, with most highs in eastern Pennsylvania to southern New England just in the 50s, we'll be back into the 60s tomorrow away from the ocean. Saturday brings a warm front through, and that means that we might see a couple of showers Saturday night into early Sunday morning. They should be widely scattered. It's a weak warm front. So I think the daytime Saturday should be okay with temperatures in the 60s. Once the warm front goes by, we'll have decreasing clouds and increasing sunshine. Temperatures will climb up into the mid and maybe even upper 70s if we get enough sun on Sunday. And Monday, we're setting up for high temperatures to be at least in the low to middle 80s. No cold front is expected to come through the Northeast until sometime next Tuesday when we could see some showers and thunderstorms. And in the meantime, you see the low in eastern Colorado. That goes up into Minnesota. That is the catalyst for the severe weather for today, tonight, and Friday. And then a second low forms in southeast Colorado on Saturday that runs northeastward. And you can see the widespread thunderstorm activity and severe weather that the GFS is pointing out here for Saturday night and Sunday from north central Texas northeastward up into southern Iowa. So, of course, we're going to be covering all of this in pretty great, in good detail, I think, on the Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast tonight at 7:35 p.m. Eastern Time. So we'll see you then.